Hello and welcome to the latest video and podcast from Fantasy Football Scout as we look ahead to Fantasy Premier League Game Week 24. My name is Joe and today I'm covering for a holidaying Az to join Sam for the live Q&A show. Welcome, Sam. How are you?
I'm really good, thanks, Joe. How are you?
Yeah, good. We were talking before we came on air about how insane the fixture schedule is, and I've only got one slide for everyone today, and it is the fixtures coming up over the next few weeks, because I think we all need to keep referring to that, and I certainly do on doing the videos and live streams where it's like, who's playing who, and oh my god, who's got a blank, and oh god, if I get that player in. They've got a double game week, but then they blank again, and it's very confusing. But we'll get there in the end, I think.
Yeah, it's like having a job and then a whole nother job as an actual manager at the moment, because you really do have to be on it. Like, you have to be thinking constantly about who's got fixtures when, where they're playing, what the fixtures are like, how many times they're playing, when they're blanking, and all of that stuff means that you have to be really mindful that you're not just making a transfer that works for 1 week and then messes your team up for the weeks that follow, particularly if you've already used free hits or you've got chips that you don't want to deploy yet. It is a bit of a minefield right now.
Yeah, it's very difficult. So I'm expecting a lot of questions about that. Welcome those joining us early in the live chat. Cameron Starr, Rodrev, Monkey, Abd, Rodrev, I think I've said Rodrev before, Joyce, John, and many more. Thanks for joining us nice and early in the live chat. Can you just let us know that you can see and hear us, because we are hopefully restreaming to Twitter, and that wonderful piece of technology means that I can't have no playback, so we could be speaking to thin air, but hopefully you can see and hear us. So
Az and I have done that multiple times before, Joe.
Yes.
So
yes, we don't know. I mean, everything looks okay, but yeah, if you can just let us know in the live chat. Rodrev, hi again. Yes, can see and hear you. Yo, etc. Brilliant, excellent, thanks so much. Just a reminder, do press that like button, and do subscribe as well, so you can keep up to date with our latest videos and podcasts, and do check out fantasyfootballscout.co.uk for the latest membership offers going on there, access to all the tables, rate my team, and all the good stuff there. Okay, you're in the live chat. Let's have some questions and we'll answer them. So keep putting your questions in, put a question mark on so I can make sure I can see that. And while you're doing that, I'm going to put this slide up, only one. It's a patchwork quilt of blue and red of the fixtures that are coming up from 24 right up until 30. And they show that, the problems we've got, Sam. And Game Week 25 got a double for Brentford, City, Luton and Liverpool. Then Luton and Liverpool then blank in 26, along with Chelsea and Tottenham. So that's a problem to navigate. Meanwhile, I just added, so not even added to this column here, in Game Week 28, Bournemouth and Luton then double there. And then meanwhile, Game Week 29, a multitude of teams, too many to mention, will blank. And I think we've only got Spurs and Fulham, Brentford and Burnley,
and Aston Villa and West Ham.
So far. So that's pretty poor. So
could be a disastrous week, couldn't it? Game week 29.
Yeah. I think for my team, I'm looking okay for 25 and 26, I hope. But it's 29's a problem. I don't know how you feel about it, but when it's a blank game week and there's going to be lots of blanks there, do you free hit into that? Because that could be advantageous. Or do you just go, I can get 7 or 8 players out, that'll do. So where do you sit on using a free hit in a blank game week?
I'm likely to probably play it in 26 to manage out that game week. It just feels like the right moment for my team, given how I'm going to be structured for 25. I think there's a very high probability, sort of 85% chance that in come game week 26, I free hit then. Game week 29, I kind of feel a little bit differently about, because there are teams there that I'm already invested in. I mean, I've got 2 goalkeepers playing that week. I mean, they're playing each other, but I have got 2 goalkeepers because I've got Martinez and Areola.
Oh, okay.
I've got Porro at the moment, and I'll be looking to increase my Spurs investment straight after the blank in 26 anyway. I've got Ollie Watkins. I've got Charlie Taylor, who Vincent Kompany kindly suggested should be okay soon. So I'm hoping that actually what I'll be able to do is dead end my team through game week 29 28, 29, make sure that I have as close to 11 as I can. And I think I'll be able to get.
Oh, you still there? Just dipped out quickly out of my feed. Hopefully.
The fixtures that come in, because we're going to see, we're going to see people go out of the FA Cup. So I'll be surprised if we do only get 3 games. I think, there are 3 games that have got all Premier League sides in. So obviously you know that you're going to lose 3 of them. They'll get knocked out. And that all happens in the midweek that follows game week 26. So we haven't actually got that long to wait to know what we're doing when it comes to game week 29. We'll get through game week 26 and the blank. Hold your transfers until after those midweek FA Cup fixtures, and then you'll have the transfers into 27, 28 and 29 to get yourself a squad ready. So I don't think that I'll need the free hit then, which is why I think I'm going to play it in 26 instead.
Okay, so you're, I guess, it's your team, Spurs, isn't it? Either the problem or the solution to this, because I've only got one Spurs player. I'm probably going to get rid of him. Before 29. You've probably got a few. You've got Porro. I've
only got one, actually. I've only got Porro at the moment. Okay. Ridiculously, I don't have Richarlison. I would really like a Richarlison and Maddison. The son now is coming back. I'm not quite sure which one yet. Probably multiple, to be quite honest, Joe. But I am kind of in that position where I'm like, so Spurs blank, obviously, going into game week 26. So there's that to consider. But if I'm planning to free hit in 26, and there's no reason why I couldn't add additional Spurs players to my squad at the moment, and at a time where other players are being they're selling their Spurs assets because they don't want to play the free hit there. It feels like it's an opportunity for me to invest in Spurs and then have them see me through game week 29.
Okay, yeah. So that's it's all team dependent, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, everyone's going to have different strategies, but anyone who says, "Oh, this is the best one," is kidding people because there's best ones for each person out there, and already we can see me and Sam have very different approaches, probably because the players we've got. And with me, it's all about Alfie Doughty. I've got Alfie Doughty, so I'm happy.
He's coming in for me this week. There's no way I can't not have him now.
A differential no longer for me. I expect to see his ownership about 25% probably.
By the double game week, he's going to be a very, very popular buy now. 2 doubles coming up.
Well, I'll still get some of his points. Okay, let's have a look at these questions then. Amatrain asks, is it better to bring in Alexander-Arnold or Tony? So I guess there's which is the priority for this double game week, Alexander-Arnold or Tony?
Alexander-Arnold's difficult, isn't he? Because he's clearly still not fully fit. I think that was very, very clear from his performance against Arsenal at the weekend. And Conor Bradley was due to be starting in that game. It was only obviously the death of his father that meant that he wasn't available for selection. So I'm not convinced that Trent starts in the game at the weekend. If he does, where does he start? Does he start in defence? Does he start in midfield? Like, it feels like there's a lot of variables when it comes to buying somebody like Trent, and obviously benefits from having the double in 25, but then blanks in 26. So depending upon what your chip strategy is, Ivan Toney doesn't give you that issue. He's going to double in 25. It's an okay fixture in 24 against Wolves. The double's difficult. There's no denying that. But, Tony, he wants to put himself in the shop window, doesn't he? And the best place to do that is against the big sides like Manchester City and Liverpool. So I think for me, I'd prioritise him over Trent because it causes you one less issue in game week 26. He also plays in game week 29. So it feels like if you're torn between those two and you know he's going to start, he's going to get the starts come what may. Whereas with Trent and his coming back from injury, I don't think you have that security yet.
I agree as well. With Tony, it was a brace he got against City away this fixture last season. So Liverpool's defence isn't gonna put him off too much. My personal issue is that he's just that little bit more expensive than Darwin, and so that would lock me out of getting some other Liverpool assets that I might want. So it's what he is, because he's quite expensive. I think he's 8.1 now, 8.2 even, and Darwin is a good 7.4, I think. So there's a big difference there. So I think it's sort of Tony Darwin rather than Tony Alexander-Arnold. And yeah, I know what you mean, Alexander-Arnold. I don't know where he's going to play. He could be in midfield. Probably will be in midfield because there's options on the flanks and in fullbacks. But I do think with it's just that price tag 8.5, and I know it's Alexander-Arnold, but he is blanking in 26. So I think I prefer Van Dijk. Van Dijk just suits my team a little better because I've got De Bruyne and Haaland already, and I quite like to keep Saka really.
Yep.
Unless and also I've got an option to get Salah back, maybe. Who knows? So that's to decide. But yeah, I think long answer. Mine is Tony. Definitely, I would prioritise there. Let's have a look down the list. I'm just at the back of the stage where people can see and hear us. So lots of people saying they can see and hear us. Creating California. Hi. He's looking to sell Trent and Archer for Haaland. So he's Haalandless at the moment.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Are you Haalandless at the moment? Or?
No, I've got him back.
Yeah. I think last time I did the live Q&A, I said I was going to keep him. And that was like December. So he's been in my side ever since.
Yeah, Lee did the same. He kept him the whole time. It shows a lot of loyalty from you guys. Yeah. I sold him straight away. Like before we even knew that he was really injured, I'd sold him. And I think I'll be honest, Joe. I watched the game where he came on for that 19-minute appearance and didn't have him.
Yeah.
And I was glad that Spurs were on telly at the same time because honestly, I didn't cope very well. Not having Haaland was really difficult to sit and watch that. So I thought I need to fix this and quick, sharp. So he came straight back in.
Yeah, he had 2 shots, I think. And in that
an air shot, and one where the defender blocked it, and that was enough to panic me into bringing him in.
And do have a look at the goals imminent video, everyone that's there, because there's a certain Norwegian at the top of that. Because this goes by the last 4 matches he has played. 4 big chances over that period. Just the no goals though, unfortunately, but just 1 assist. So he's definitely due a return there.
Massively.
So creating California. Hi, sell Trent and Archer for Haaland, which would result in Haaland, Watkins, and Solanke up top, or sell Solanke for Haaland. Okay, well this is quite interesting. Because we were talking a bit about this on air. And so this raises the question about Solanke, and he's good later on, but perhaps not now. So he's got Fulham away, which is okay. Then, unfortunately for him, he's got Newcastle and then Man City, which is awful. So he does play in 26, but it's the worst fixture you can get. And then the fixtures get really good. Burnley in 27, that's when I want him. Double game week in 28, and it's triple captain potential double game week with Sheffield United and Luton at home.
But I think if you can do it by selling Archer, you do that.
Exactly.
I don't think you'd sell Solanke or Watkins unless you absolutely had to bring him back. And I think if you've got a route, even if that route is sacrificing Trent, like the Liverpool defence, we've seen that they're not rock solid. I mean, I would expect them to clean sheet against Burnley in Gameweek 24, of course. But then there's no cast iron guarantees that Trent is going to start the game. There's no cast iron guarantees that he's going to last through 60 minutes. There's no guarantees of the attacking returns that we think will be there because that's Trent for you. But there's no guarantees of any of this. And at 8.5, he's a lot of money. So if you can downgrade him and still have a really good defender in his place who also maybe doubles or has a good fixture in 25 and helps you with 26, then I think selling Archer for Haaland is absolutely the way I go.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I've got Watkins, Haaland, and Solanke. So if I want to get Darwin or Tony in, Solanke's got to make way because Solanke I can make way for that poor run, just very short poor run, but Newcastle, Man City, but then get him back again. So sort of hokey them around. But I think, if you had the option of Archer, if you got Archer up top, you're lucky because you've got someone you want to get.
It's easy. It's an easy decision because even he's not starting in the same way that he was before since Brenton Diaz arrived. So, you've got an opportunity to get rid of the not first choice now striker from one of the poorest sides in the league and replace him with the first choice striker from the premium side in the league.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Leo asks Jota or Diaz. I'm going to say Jota because he's more nailed on.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Luis Diaz is a really nice differential if you've already got Jota and you want to double up. But I think if you're looking to just invest in Liverpool, given we don't have a lot of news yet on Salah, we know he's following an individual training program and he's in the gym, but we're not seeing him first team training.
Yeah.
And so given we don't have that information available to us yet, I think you just pick the best Liverpool midfielder and therefore you would go Jota.
Yeah, Jota, yeah. I mean, the ultimate one would be, I mean, if money's no option, Alexander-Arnold, Jota, Darwin at the moment. Obviously, it would be...
ready for a Salah investment if you needed.
Yeah, Darwin, Salah, Alexander-Arnold would be the best ones. Next question is not FPL related. Sting in the Tail asks if I bought Prelude to Ecstasy, which is the new album, the debut album from The Last Dinner Party. No, I haven't.
Have you?
No, I haven't, but I have seen them live, and I saw them at Glastonbury last year in the John Peel tent, and they were amazing. And I thought they were, and it was they were first on. I've never seen it so packed at midday.
Oh, really?
And they were like a headliner, and came away from it going, wow, that was a good set. And I think they're destined for big things, and I think they are. So no, but I haven't yet, but I do recommend them.
It's on the list.
It's on the list. They're good. Jack FPL, do you think Darwin is a good choice over Watkins? No.
No, I don't either. No, I don't think you can sell. Look at Watkins. I know that it was against Sheffield United, but I just think the way that he's performing. I know we've had a few difficult weeks with him, and then they had this game against Sheffield United. And you look at the fixtures that they've got coming up. They sit high up on the fixture ticker for a reason, because the fixtures are nice. All right, it's Manchester United, but their defence has been. I can't think what the leaky at best. Let's say that about the Manchester United defence. Fulham, Nottingham Forest, Luton. Their defences you'd expect Watkins to get something against. Spurs. Obviously, they've got the fixture in 29, which could be so critical for managers. And it's against a West Ham side that, again, aren't keeping a lot of clean sheets. And Wolves, who have been really good. But, I look at those weeks and I genuinely, even as a Spurs fan, I sit here and I look at their fixtures between now and game week 30 and think, Aston Villa could and should score in every single one of those games that they've got coming up. And if we think that way, it's Ollie Watkins that you would expect to be involved in those goals.
Yeah, I think Ollie Watkins and Solanke have similarities in that they play for good teams, but not the best, not the Liverpool, Man City type. And so they're much more susceptible to fixtures. So their form will dovetail with the fixtures. So, I mean, it's real basic stuff. Good fixtures, they're going to probably do better than poor fixtures. So that's why I've gone off Solanke for those two fixtures. Would like to get him back again for when the fixtures get good. Same with Watkins. See, he had a pretty bad run. I know he did have, I think he had Sheffield United, I know he did well the last game, but the other Sheffield United match within this, a sort of a tougher run for Villa. And he didn't score so well. People were getting rid of him. But the fixtures coming up, yes, Manchester United, Fulham, Nottingham Forest, Luton, Tottenham, West Ham, Wolves. I mean, yeah, there's no clean sheets for any of those teams there against Aston Villa, I don't think.
And I think Watkins is one of those players where a lot of managers might look at and go, well, there's no double and I could get this double game week player. So I'll sell him and I'll do that. And I'm always really mindful of that. Like when you're looking to invest in a double game weeker, absolutely look to invest in them because of course they've got double the opportunity to return across that game week, which could be so important. But when you've got a player like Ollie Watkins, who, okay, of late, maybe not as great apart from the Sheffield United game at the weekend, but over the course of the season has been consistently really good, playing in a really good attacking Aston Villa side. It's one of those conversations that you just have to kind of go, is it a sensible thing to do for me to sell this player, even with the potential upside that this other player has?
Yeah.
And for me, the conclusion I would come to with Watkins is I don't want to lose him.
No. Same. I have that same thing. I also, because I do the Goals Imminent and team reveal shows with Tom, who is a Villa fan, goes to see them. I'm almost got this sort of Watkins indoctrination every week, and I say
you're becoming a Villa fan.
I always ask him, should I get rid of him? And he went, no, not at all. No, he always thinks he's good and reels off some underlying stats which are good. Monkey Man asks, thinking of taking Gordon out for Barkley. Thoughts? Yes, I say yes, because Gordon could be injured. And Ross Barkley is looking really good. And Luton have a double game week in 25. And they have another double game week in 28. And looking at the stats ahead of that game, it was just after their game. So it's the last 6 matches. Ross Barkley, he's got 36 FPL points. He has 2 goals, started every match, 3 assists, so 5 returns out of 6. That's pretty much getting on for a return a match. He's created 18 chances, and his expected goal involvement is around 3. So he's marginally overperforming, but 5 goal involvements out of 6 matches, and he's really cheap. Yeah. Don't hesitate, I would say.
Yeah, I am. I just, while you were talking then, I just pulled up my notes from the official pod this morning that I recorded, because he was my pod differential for this week. And he is a player that, so I've got Anthony Gordon in my team at the moment, and I'm looking to probably sell Anthony Gordon with the news that he's unlikely to be available for this weekend, but hopefully it's not a more serious thing. But then Harvey Barnes is back now, so it's not like in the past Anthony Gordon would be rushed back in, probably wearing a brace on his foot to play in the match, because that was all they had. So it was kind of like, well, we don't have anybody else, so off you go, Anthony, you've got to go out there again. And he'd come off, and then Hal would be going, oh, we can't run. And then you'd be like, oh, well, he's not going to play. And then you'd see him out running again the next day. But this time around, it feels a bit different because Harvey Barnes is back and available. So they don't necessarily need to push Anthony Gordon outside of his comfort zone. So he probably gets a little bit more time. When it comes to Ross Barkley, going on from what you've just said, if you look at him over a slightly longer period, in the last 9 appearances, 3 goals and 4 assists, that's the most attacking returns that he's had in a Premier League season since 18-19. And of course, we've still got what?
I didn't know he was that old.
Yeah, well, and that was fair. I think it was for Everton.
I thought you meant the
18-19 season.
I thought you meant the year 18-19, sort of post-Napoleonic.
Yeah, he's that old. No, 2018-19 season. And they've obviously still got 15 game weeks to go, 17 games for Luton because of the 2 double game weeks. And since game week 10, he's had 34 shots on goal, which is more than any other Luton player. Wow. So when you think about his price point, the fact that we can slot him in that 5th midfielder slot, again, it's helpful if you're planning to free hit in 26 because it removes that issue. But you can then hold him. If you want to, you can certainly play him in 24 against Sheffield United. You play him through it's a difficult double, but you play him in the double. And then you don't have to play him in 27 and 20 and 27 if you don't want to, but in 28 then you've got the benefit of having that second double game week. So I think Ross Barkley is feasibly a character that you could hold up until game week 28. Now game week 29 they might yet have a fixture depending upon how the FA Cup pans out. Obviously they've got Manchester City in the FA Cup, so it's possible that you can then keep him for that blank game week as well, depending upon what happens with them. So I have developed a bit of a love affair with Ross Barkley in the last sort of 48 hours since that, or 24 hours since that double game week announcement. Suddenly Ross Barkley's like on my brain, and I'm sort of going, maybe this is a opportunity. Yeah,
and also now if you get him in ahead of the double game week, he's got Sheffield United at home, so it's
0.9% ownership as well. So huge differential. Perfect fixture this week against Sheffield United. Yes, difficult double, but he's going to play both games across the double, so you're going to get 4.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's always waves of expectation amongst FPL managers, and I mean, weeks ago I got Alfie Doughty, and people still in the chat were saying, "Why are you getting a Luton player in?"
I know,
and they were constantly saying that, and over that period, not just him, but Ross Barkley, Adebayo, or loads of those players have been getting attacking returns. Morris has been getting in the act as well. And I just think that it takes a while for people to sort of recalibrate their opinion of a team and go, well, hang on, Luton are quite good. They're actually a good team. They're a promoted team, but they're a good team.
Yeah, and I think the fact that they started the season not great puts FPL managers often on the back foot, because you kind of look at it and go, Sheffield United, Burnley, Luton, not interested. Maybe you stick Everton down there as well. There was a little bit of hype about Everton in the early part of the season. And then when Pickford didn't return and Dominic Calvert-Lewin was injured, we saw people drop off their investments there. But now they're not a bad option. And so I think, you have to kind of relook at it and look at it in terms of what you've got in front of you right at this moment. Yeah. And when you look at Luton, Sheffield United, very nice fixture. That's the sort of game that they'll go into going, must win that game, go out, attack, get the points. Manchester United,
I can see him winning that.
I can see him scoring.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can certainly see them getting goals in that game.
I can see it big. I mean, the way Manchester United are playing, when they played against, was it Newport?
Yeah, no, exactly that.
Yeah,
exactly.
Goals.
Yeah, and I think, you could see the same thing again there. Liverpool's obviously difficult, and then there's the blank. Yeah. But then after that, Aston Villa, Crystal Palace, Nottingham Forest. These are not, and then Spurs, actually. And again, those 4 defences that they've got after the break, and it could yet be that, we see
and Bournemouth Forest as well, obviously, in 28.
Yeah, absolutely, and Bournemouth in that double game week 28. So you look at that, the fact that the Nottingham Forest game could or could not be on, depending on the FA Cup, but sadly for Luton, I don't see them beating Manchester City in the FA Cup. So it's going to be basically on what happens with Forest.
Yeah.
But those are really great fixtures after the blank. So I think we have to kind of take off our hats that say, well, they're a newly promoted team, and I think because Liverpool and Man City double at the same time, everyone's like, okay, let's focus in there. But actually, if you take a look at Luton, there are some players there that you definitely can go to.
Yeah, I mean, my own team, I could get him in for Garnacho and play him, and then bench Solanke, who I might remove anyway. Yep. So that would solve the Solanke issue. Just bench him and play Barkley. In fact,
you've talked yourself into that, haven't you? Now
I think I might do that, because do I want Darwin for 3 fixtures or Barkley for 3 fixtures, and then the option to keep Solanke and save a transfer down the line? Wow, I've just given. Wow, this show. I've just.
See, this is the benefit of the Q&A, Joe. You're going to want to come every week.
I need a light bulb like this side.
You'll be standing in for Az and with Az for me in a couple of weeks when I'm on holiday. There's going to be all sorts of chaos when you're doing those streams with him.
Well, I'm not sure I'll get the same level of inspiration. Maybe.
It's my love affair with Ross Barkley. I've just kind of passed it on to you now.
I know. Well, yeah, double Luton. Who'd have thought it?
I know, right?
Let's have a look through the questions again. Oh, Scott asks, big question. This is, if Salah makes a cameo versus Burnley, is he worth getting in for the double? Yeah, that is a good question, isn't it?
Do you think he's going to? Because so individual training program, I think it was referred to as earlier. And an individual training program doesn't seem to me as going to be available in the matchday squad for the weekend.
No, if it's against Burnley, so if he is able to have some minutes, then Klopp will say, I'm really happy with Salah in training this week, I'm going to give him some minutes. But I haven't seen any pictures of him in training this week. He's, as you said, it's just been individual work.
In the gym,
yeah.
I saw a video on social media earlier today of him walking to the gym with Van Dijk. That's the first time I've seen him in the Liverpool gym. Yeah. Everything else has been in his private gym that he's been doing private work. My view is they've got a cup final coming up in game week 26, which is why they're obviously blanking. I don't think he'll play him against Burnley. I don't think he'll need to risk him against Burnley. I don't think he's going to be available. He's not trained with the first team. He's not been out on the grass with the first team. So the question then remains, all right, he doesn't play the weekend against Burnley. If he then returns to training with the squad, which I would expect to happen at some point if he's doing individual training programs, how many minutes does he get across that double game week? Because Klopp's going to want to bring him back to full fitness before the cup final, but at the same time not risk bringing him back too quickly. So I would expect Klopp to manage Salah's return in a similar way to how Pep has managed the Haaland De Bruyne returns, and see sort of 20 minutes, half an hour here. Because look, Liverpool, it's not like they've suddenly not been able to play football in Salah's absence. Jota's stepped up. Darwin's been, they've been good in their absence, apart from against Arsenal at the weekend where they were terrible. And I still can't quite work on what on earth happened to Liverpool at the weekend. But otherwise, they've been good. So I don't think that he will risk him in that game against Burnley. And then when you look at their double game week, it's Brentford and Luton. Liverpool should be able to win those games without 90 minutes from Mo Salah. Yeah. So my view is that they'll probably protect his comeback for the League Cup final.
Yes, exactly. That's what I think. I think certain players have their targets, don't they? But I think with this one, we'll know before, because Klopp, I don't think Klopp's going to be cagey about this.
He's not normally.
No, he'll just say
that's not how.
He'll either say, "Yep, Salah's ready for a few minutes," or "I hope he's ready," or he'll just say, "No chance. We hope he could be back in, for the Brentford game, for example." He might say, or the Luton game, or whichever. But he probably will be a bit more forthcoming that if he is meant to be back. And he does get some minutes. I'll want him in because
how easy is that, Joe?
Well, for it, you have to make a sacrifice. In my case, it means removing Saka.
And can you do that just by taking out Saka?
Oh, I would have to downgrade someone like a defender to a cheaper defender. So yes, it's very doable for me. For other people, it might mean, I want to get De Bruyne in, but now I can't get De Bruyne in. And
that's my issue is because I've got Haaland, a bit like you have got Haaland, and I've got KDB, and I've got Saka, and I've got Watkins. And I look at the way that my team is, and I think it's actually going to be quite difficult for me to bring back Salah. I've got like nearly 3 million in the bank, not quite 3 million in the bank. So not enough to go straight from Saka up to Salah. So there would have to be a downgrade elsewhere. Now, all of that is possible, of course. I could downgrade Gross rather than, because obviously at that point I wouldn't necessarily need to go to Jota. I could downgrade Gross to somebody like Ross Barkley and then use that money to upgrade Saka. So it's doable, but that would be another -4, because I would also like the Doughty transfer to happen, because I'm looking at my team moving forward and thinking, well, I've got Livramento, who's a real problem that I need to deal with because Trippier's still wearing a Newcastle shirt. Thanks, Newcastle. I was hoping for a bit of a light relief there. But so Livramento to Doughty is one of the ones I want to do this week, but all of that stuff would have to be them carefully considered.
Okay. Cameron asks, Is it worth going mental on the double, he says. So basically, this is a question of how many double game weekers should we get in, and also what we do then about navigating 26 and possibly with a free hit. So I know you were speaking before air. Your aim is to go mental on the double game week, but at the same time, free hit in 26 if need be.
If needed, calmly mental, I think. Yeah. So I'm kind of, I feel very much like what happens will happen with the free hit.
Yeah.
At the moment, I have Porro, who will be blanking in 26. I have Palmer, who will be blanking in 26. And that is all, because I do not have any Liverpool players and I do not have any Luton players. So actually, at the moment, with one Spurs and one Chelsea, game week 26 is looking fine. So the question for me is, well, how far do I want to take game week 26 looking fine? So I'm in a place where I would like another Manchester City player. Ideally, I think I want to go for Rodri as a cheap option, probably for Anthony Gordon. I'd like to have Jota in place, and I'd like to have Alfie Doughty in place. So those will be the 3 transfers that I make between now and game week 25. Now that will throw me over the bench options. I might go a bit more rogue again and have another Liverpool player. Like if Salah suddenly is there, I'll be like, well, all right, here we go. He's cut or come in, and I can make some tweaks elsewhere. So I'm in a place where I'm looking at 26 thinking, if I need to, I'll just free hit. I'll just play the free hit. But I'm also in a place where I'm looking at my team for 26 thinking, okay, well, if I've bought in Jota and then Salah is available to play in the League Cup final, well, I'm going to want Salah rather than Jota post the League Cup final. So I would have no reason to hold Jota. I could sell Jota for somebody else ahead of the League Cup final, downgrade him to wherever I fancied going. And then that would allow me to play through game week 26 without the chip. And then that puts me in a nicer position moving forward. So at the moment, I'm just trying to be as flexible as possible with my team. I think you can absolutely go mad on Manchester City for the double. Get 3, because they don't blank in 26. Knock yourself out there. Then you just have to decide. If you go mad, have you got a free hit chip that you can use to play to get you out of trouble in 26? And if you do, then do you want to play it? And if you don't, could you get out of it with 1 or 2 transfers? Because if it's -4 gets you out of the bother of 26, or one free transfer gets you 10 players, then you're probably fine and you probably should,
Yeah.
knock yourself out. But just be mindful of not selling players who've got doubles later that you want and you want, and also not selling players that have got
So
a
my
good
dogs are
single
going
game
absolutely
week fixture.
insane.
They agree with me. They're like, don't sell don't sell your good assets. I think like don't go so crazy that you end up selling a player that you really regret.
Yeah. I always think when it comes, because this is now my 15th, 14th season, I can't remember. So I've experienced a number of double game weeks over that time, and I've found over time I've gradually had a similar mentality of being sort of moderate. When you've got double and a blank game week problems, you don't go like, oh, I'm going to get 12 double game weekers out if it means that you've got no one the next week. So you go for like 7 or 8 or so. And if you end up with a blank game week fielding 9, 10 players, so be it. And that tends to be a good way of dealing it. So for this one, I'll probably go in for 7. I think 6 is absolutely fine as well. And I think fielding 9 or 10 is absolutely fine. Because this blank game week is not great. I mean, as long as you've got City players in place, you got your captains there against Bournemouth, and then you can have a sprinkling of some others, maybe Ollie Watkins. You could probably go into that with 5 or 6, to be honest, as long as you got the good players. Okay, I've realised there's about a zillion questions that we haven't answered. So we'll try and go these a bit
speed
more
up.
quick.
Let's speed up.
I think we've just answered FPL Copycats one, basically loading up on double as well, taking into account the blanks really, and it's moderation and making sure it's like chess. You've got to think, well, if I'm getting that player in, are they not going to play? And I always think moderation there. So don't think, oh, I've got to get 10 double game weekers out, because it's probably going to count against you for those blanks. David asks, is it worth a free hit in 29? I think we sort of covered that as well.
Yeah, we might be.
It could be. It's going to be team dependent. I'm personally open to using a free hit in 29. I don't know what my team's going to look like in it.
I think you just have to stay open to using it at any point when it suits your team. And it might be that it doesn't suit your team at all. And therefore you do it in a double game week later on in the season. And that's also fine. Yeah.
I mean, I remember years ago, there was that blank game week when, Liverpool played, and so Salah was captain, and he got like one of his enormous returns, like 20 plus points.
Yeah.
So if you went into that and really stocked up on Liverpool, and you were just suddenly like absolutely huge. So it can happen in a blank game week. So you don't necessarily have to use a free hit in a double game week.
And also, I've used my free hit on the final game week of the season before now.
Yeah, that's a good time as well.
Yeah, because that was the COVID season where we had all the where we actually stopped for COVID, the 1920 season, and was it, or whatever season it was? I can't. God, times have gone away. But the season where we actually stopped play for COVID, we came back, and obviously they gave us that extra free transfer wild card thing. So I had my free hit, and I was like, well, I don't know where to put it now. So I just held it until the very final day of the season. And actually, do you know what? It's one of the best free hits I've ever played, because there was an opportunity to go, okay, well, I know the teams that are in the hunt for European.
Was that the Harry Kane one of the many Harry Kane final game weeks where he went?
Yeah, it was also the game week where Trent didn't play. So I'd had Trent in my actual team, and I was planning to have him in my free hit team, and then he was rumoured to not be starting, and in the end I was like, do you know what, I think I'll just go for Van Dijk instead. And Van Dijk got a monster haul, an absolute monster haul, and it was my best ever season by such a long way. And so I think sometimes there's a real merit in just using it in a normal game week like that on the final day of the season, because there's so much clarity around, well, these teams are still fighting for something, these teams have got nothing to play for, these teams are on the beach, these players have got their own thing, or they want to put themselves in the transfer window for the summer, or they're going on the plane with their manager to Euros, and they want to promote themselves from that. So all of that stuff I think is valuable. So the free hit chip, just be flexible with it. If it suits your team in 26, fine. If it suits your team in 29, fine. If it suits your team better in one of the doubles, also fine. If it doesn't suit your team at all, play it in the final game week of the season.
Definitely. John has answered his own question. He says Bowen and Solanke out for De Bruyne and Adebayo. That gives me 6 doublers. Thoughts, please. Yes, you've just answered the question. It gives you 6 doublers. Do it. And that's a really good move if you can do that, I think. Samu Alvarez to Darwin and Palmer to KDB. That's trickier, I think. I mean, Alvarez to Darwin, yeah, but
Selling Palmer's an interesting one.
I'm keeping Palmer throughout all of this, but I've seen a lot of people wanting to ditch him. But just because a double game week or a blank game week's been announced doesn't make him a bad option. He's still the talisman there, so I'm keeping Palmer.
I'm quite torn on Palmer. I like Palmer. Chelsea's just so Jekyll and Hyde. Like in the League Cup yesterday against Aston Villa, they were excellent. That's the best I've seen him for such a long time. But then who knows what we're going to see from them against Crystal Palace in Gameweek 24. Like, you just feel like anything could happen. And then obviously they've got a horrible fixture against Man City in 25, and it's a single fixture, then a blank. Now, they will also double at some point because that Spurs game will need to be rescheduled at some point. So I just think we need to be just careful. I think selling players that are in good form like Palmer is difficult, but if that is the only route that you have to KDB, who has a double game week and doesn't blank, then I would consider doing it.
Definitely. Cameron asks another player that people are getting rid of. I might get rid of him this week. Porro, sell or keep. Cameron's thinking of swapping him for Van Dijk. So am I.
That's what you were saying before.
Yeah, that's exactly the move. It makes sense, I think, because whilst Spurs have okay fixtures, they do blank. Van Dijk has that double. I can easily make that move back. I got Porro ages ago, so I've made quite a lot of money on him already. So I'm might just cash in. And I think the Spurs player I want is Maddison. I had him for game week 1. He got injured, didn't have him. But I think if I want to tap into those with Son back, I don't know how that's going to affect Richarlison.
I don't think it will.
No, I don't think it will, but I know what won't change. Maddison will get assists.
Oh, I totally agree with you.
So
I want
whoever
Maddison.
scores, Maddison's going to be involved, I think.
Before the Liverpool double game week was announced on Saturday morning, my planned transfer heading into game week 25 was to bring back Maddison. That was my plan, because I was like, I can carry him through the blank game week. I'll get Maddison in for either for Gordon or for Gross, depending upon where things were. So I'm looking at that now, thinking that is still a transfer I'd really like to make. I like the Spurs fixtures. I like the way that we're playing. I think the fact that Son's coming back is only going to add to that feeling at Spurs and to that momentum and that drive. All right, we don't keep a lot of clean sheets, which is another reason maybe not to hold Porro. But I think for me, Porro would be not a priority sell. If it enables you to do something really positive with your team, and that's going to be beneficial to you across the double game week, then go for it. But I wouldn't prioritise or hit him out.
Yeah. Joyce asks, bench Trippier, Porro or João Pedro? I always go with my age-old sayings with these things. Don't bench a penalty taker, and don't and always favour the attacker over the defender. So I would play Trippier and Pedro. I would bench Porro because I can't see a clean sheet in that Spurs-Brighton match.
No, I don't see a clean sheet in that one for Porro.
Yeah,
I think I'd probably do the same, because it's difficult because Porro's also on some set pieces. Trippier's on set pieces. It's hard between Trippier and Porro. I agree with you on you never bench the attacker. I would do the same. I'd never bench an attacker. Having to bench one of Porro or Trippier is not pleasant though for this.
No. I mean, sometimes when I have that decision, I just get rid of a player. So I just don't have them anymore. I don't have to have that decision. Zabadrik asks, start 2 of Gabriel, Doughty, Stupinan and Garnacho. Just 2 of them. Play Doughty.
You have to start Doughty. You have to.
Yeah, he's at home Sheffield United.
Who were the other 3, Joe? Garnacho?
Gabriel, Garnacho and Stupinan. I think
I'd bench a Stupinan, I think.
I'm benching a Stupinan. He's in my team. I'm benching him.
Do you think he's going to start?
Yeah. I just think he's been not sort of naughty step, but I think De Zerbi, he's has very high standards, and so I mean, for example, Pedro started against Luton, scored game week 1, and then was benched because a couple of passes, a couple of track backs didn't work out. And that's similar with Estupiñán. So as long as he's done what he's being asked of in training, I'm sure he's back. Also, his understudy is Lamptey. And as good as Lamptey is, he can't last that long.
He can't keep playing. He'll get injured again.
Playing. He will get injured. So, yeah. I think Estupiñán is fine, but definitely bench. I'd probably.
And I don't see a clean sheet against Spurs. So.
No,
Garnacho.
I think I've got Garnacho, and I'll bench him if I can't. I won't play him. I benched him for 16 points last week, so I'm I'm thick-skinned now.
Keep benching him.
If I bench him and he gets 10 points, that's nothing because I've benched 16 points before.
I get it.
Leo is good. What will your advice be for me? Who's already used your chips?
All of them.
Buy a sofa,
a big one, or failing that, if you can't afford the sofa, just go to a furniture shop and hide behind a sofa.
In a way, I think he's in a good position because he doesn't have to worry about any of this. He could just use transfers. In that case, use transfers. Prioritise Liverpool and City and Luton, and you're going to have some weeks where it's going to fall flat for you. There's a few blank game weeks, but prioritise those doubles. Forget the blanks. That's what I'd do, and I think you might do okay. Ali, time to sell Trippier? No, I don't think so.
Well.
Or unless you get another player in like Van Dijk, I guess.
And because he's no double in there. No. So the fixtures are coming, not nice-ish ones, Nottingham Forest and Bournemouth in the next two. No Champions League anymore. So there's going to be a clearer schedule. So that's better. But the one thing I would say is that I think that we are hitting that point of the season where we have to make compromises. Yeah. Like we have to we have to look at it and go, well, it's physically impossible to have all of these players that we want. Mm-hmm. You can't have KDB and Haaland and have Salah in there and have Jota. Yeah. One, we don't have enough space in our team, and two, we don't have the budget for that. Yeah. So I'm looking at the defence and thinking that's where I can see value. I can see the players like the Doughties who offer you that attacking threat without costing you an arm and a leg. So if Trippier, selling him, funds a Salah when he's fit, or it funds a KDB now, or it funds Haaland, then do it. Yeah,
definitely. But worth pointing out that with Trippier, he has created 17 chances and taken 39 corners in his last 6 matches.
Don't get me wrong. So it wouldn't be it wouldn't be pleasant to sell Trippier, and I wouldn't advocate it just for the fun of it. But if it makes your team significantly better because it gives you Haaland or whoever, then consider it.
Okay. Amatrain, we've answered this question, which is the minimum amount of players for 26. I reckon you're all right with 6, if you can go with 6. 5 is probably fine, but as long as it's City and Liverpool, your main ones. Luton's just a bit of trimming. Some hundreds and thousands sprinkles on the ice cream that is City and Liverpool. Sam, when can we get Maddison in? Get him in anytime you want.
Whenever you like. I think the sooner the better, to be honest, in my view. Yeah. But the one thing I would say is that just be aware of that blank in 26.
Yeah. Lil Jim says he accidentally played his free hit this week. What do I do? Is that a reference to Az accidentally playing his bench boost one week?
I remember when he did that.
Well, if you have accidentally played your free hit this week, because I know the buttons are quite close together, have a look at the picture we got up on the screen. This is my Bible for Fantasy Premier League. It's the season ticker. So have a look at Gameweek 24. Have a look at the darkest of the bluest thing there. So if you played your free hit there, then get triple Liverpool, triple Luton, get Richarlison in, get a Brighton attacker in as well. That's pretty much 8 or 9 players. Just go for the dark blue ones there, and get Haaland and KDB in as well. That'll probably get you to 11.
I think if I was free hitting this week, I'd get Foden as well.
Yeah.
Have those 3 from City. Have Richarlison. Have Jota, Diaz, and Darwin, or Trent if you want. But I don't know if I trust the start.
Use Luton as your enablers. You can even play Barkley,
them as well. Barkley, Doughty, and probably Adebayo.
Yeah.
And then you're pretty much there.
I would say avoid Spurs and Brighton defenders, because I think that's one of the highest matchups in terms of goals.
Oh, so, and Brighton always score at Spurs.
Yeah,
always score.
And Brighton always concede as well. So it's just goals. That one. Jack Kelleher asks, it's a super chat question. His thoughts on a wildcard 24 with. Okay, that's good.
Originally, that was my plan.
Yeah.
Weeks and weeks and weeks back, I said on the official pod, my plan was to look at a Gameweek 24 wildcard. Actually, right now, with the doubles and stuff that we now know about, and with the way the blank is planning out, and with the way Gameweek 29 is looking, I don't think that it's the right week anymore.
I don't know if you can hear my dogs at all. I certainly can.
They're having a little moment. They're not as loud, I think, as you think they might be.
Oh, that's good then. That's fine.
They're just in the background.
Right, that's fine.
But Gameweek 20... So I'm looking at a Gameweek 30 wildcard now for my team, because it allows me to dead end through 29, or potentially, if I haven't used my free hit in 26, free hit in 29. Yeah. But it puts me in a position where if I wildcard in 30, it's an international break week. So it gives me 2 weeks of thinking time to think about it.
That's good, right?
Yeah. It also gives me the ability to plan, because we will know about the FA Cup and who's where and what's likely to pan out. So we should hopefully have a bit of information about double game weeks in 34 and 37, and who's likely to blank and who's not. So when we've got all that information, you should then be able to build a squad in 30, which will carry you through those final 9 game weeks of the season, and put you in a place where the bench boost chip can be played, and if it's still available, the free hit chip can be played. That's my plan, and I think it works better there than in 24.
Jack, the way he's phrased it, and it's a good point, because basically I think as long as you have a plan, it will probably do really well. And don't think, everyone's going to be wildcarding 30 or whatever, 34.
No.
And as long as you have a plan, and Jack seems to have a wildcard with a whole bunch of City, Liverpool, Brentford, Luton players in 24, he can actually bench boost in 25, because he's so packed full of these players, and then he's with 9 doublers, and then he can be fine for 26, because he's got so many Brentford and City players, and then he's going to manage 26 and 29 with free transfers. He can triple captain in 28 when Solanke doubles, and he's not seen too many wildcard 24s. No, you won't, because if you follow things on Twitter and things, you'll just see one narrative going. And then if someone with influence says a particular narrative, then everyone will do that. But what Jack describes great. And I've seen that time and again every season, where as long as you have a plan, whatever that plan is, and if it's well thought out as Jack's is, do it. I think it's going to work out.
I agree. I think that it's very easy to get talked into things. By what the rest of social media are doing, and it might not be the best thing that's for your team. Only you can decide about that.
Savish has got a real big benching dilemma. Foden, KDB, Richarlison, Palmer, Saka or Watkins, one of them has to be benched.
Oh, for goodness sake, that's a nightmare.
Well, how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6. Why? They must have a 7th player. He's got a 7th player. Whoever your 7th player is.
Read them again, Joe.
KDB, Foden, Richarlison, Palmer, Saka, and Watkins.
I presume that they're going to play Haaland.
Oh, and Haaland. I guess it would be Haaland. So
that's horrible.
But the way I play is I don't want to get into a situation where I have that decision to be made.
You'll just sell them all.
I would not. I would not. I just would not like to have a team that's that good, which is why I've never won it.
I think I would bench Palmer.
Yeah, get Crystal Palace.
I don't like it at all. I didn't like benching Gross against Palace last week, and I felt I had no choice.
Well, yeah, I just wouldn't bench any.
You can't bench any of the City assets.
I can't answer that because they're all too good to bench.
I don't think you can't bench Richarlison or the City assets. They're in too good form.
So
they're out. You can't bench Watkins on the back of his performance.
At home.
Against a Manchester United side that defensively are terrible. I don't think you can bench him.
They can't do set pieces as well.
No, I don't think you can bench him. So it only really leaves you with Palmer. So you're benching Chelsea's penalty taker, which feels absolutely horrific.
I know. I know, I haven't really answered the question very well.
That's all I think you can do.
My answer is have a worse team.
Yeah. Sell them all.
Would we play Reedy? Would we play Porro? I think we've already answered that. I personally won't be. I don't think, because I just don't think there's any clean sheets in there. Great content, sister. Thanks. Great comment. Slanky. Slanky and Saka to Darwin and Jota. I'd hold fire, because Saka could be really good to get Salah in.
This is one of those moves, Joe, that could so easily backfire on you.
Yeah, I would potentially do that in 25, but I wouldn't do it in 24. So, because you might need that. Why are you using an old fixture ticker? It's because I did it for a video earlier in the week. Says Mr. T. He obviously pities the fool that's got the old fixture
pity the
ticker.
fool.
I haven't got double game week 28 in there, so you can just imagine the Luton.
Just imagine Bournemouth and Luton there.
A double game week. Yeah, I put it in for an old video, and I just thought I'd put it on here. Right. Oh my God, there's so many questions. We've been doing for nearly an hour. Does it usually go on for nearly an hour?
No, we do 45 minutes normally, okay, so they've got their money's worth today.
Oh my good Lord. Right. I'll try and get as many as I can in. Let's go for this super chat one. It's not a question at all. It's just Joe has just donated some money. That's it. Just with a nice thumbs up. Thanks a lot. Okay, right. I'm gonna scroll down the list. Okay, so apologies those I've missed out. Bench Porro, Stupinan.
Yeah,
we'll go quick fire for
bench
some of these.
Bench the away team.
Dogs going mad. Yes, they did. Richarlison. That's more of a statement. Best Liverpool triple up from Notorious Nerd.
Oh, Jota, Diaz, Darwin, I think.
Yeah. No, I think a defender. I think their defense is good.
Which one, Van Dijk?
No. I think Alisson's really good.
Alisson.
I think Alisson's
that
really
saves
good
a problem.
because it saves a problem because you don't have to worry about the bench then. So I like Alisson or Van Dijk and Jota or Darwin, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
So it's one of those, three of those four. Okay. Bench Solanke at Fulham or Pascal Gross at Tottenham? Oh, that's a tough one.
I should not answer this because whichever one of them I bench always returns. I benched Solanke versus West Ham. He returned. I benched Gross against Palace. He returned. I don't know. I'm torn. Your score at Spurs, 100%.
Yeah, yeah.
And Gross is normally involved. But I don't think you can bench Solanke. Fulham can be solid defence. Maybe Solanke.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've got Solanke. I'm either going to sell him or play him. But, yeah. So, is Ben Mee a threat still? Could be. I don't think so, no. I think Reguilon, old Spurs player, is the one for potential assist potential. Because in his last 6 matches, Reguilon, that includes the multitude of clubs he's played for during that period. He has created 5 chances and taken 4 corners. So it's sort of assist potential with him. So that
the thing is with Reguilon, I mean, I've watched a lot of him over the years. You're flattered to deceive.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we've had a couple of good games. Well, let's see if that lasts. I wouldn't be getting him in FPL.
Coleman said Solanke loves a goal against Fulham.
Oh, stop it now. Come on. Okay.
Colm is going to be full of more information about that, but I'm going to have to look into that because I do like a good, like that player likes to score against that team kind of thing.
I like that as well. I really buy into that.
Yeah. Kim, bringing a Luton or Liverpool player this week. I prioritise Liverpool, but Luton are good as well. They both got good fixtures this week, but I would prioritise Liverpool because they're trickier to get. Although having said that, getting a Luton player this week is probably better because they're cheaper. And then if Salah's back, then you've still got that option, but you might lock yourself out of it.
I'm not sure we're helping anyone at this point, Joe. I think we're just saying things. Do this, maybe do that instead. This one.
Joe, I have a microphone for sale. You need it, trust me. Really? With this
got the same mic as me.
This fabulous microphone here. That interference you may have heard, that's in fact two cockapoos called Gracie and Alfie, who are very, very noisy. Yellow Army, great video, guys. Thank you for all you're doing for the community. Thank you. I think we can call it a halt there, because I think a lot of the other questions are very similar. I think we've answered a lot of those key questions there. I'm aware that I've been doing this for a quarter of an hour longer than you and as you normally do.
That's all right. We've had fun. Az will come back with the expectation now that we'll do an hour. He'll be having an absolute fit.
No, he doesn't have to. Okay. Hopefully we've answered most of your questions there. Apologies for those that we haven't. Az will be back next week. And then
Az will be back next week, and then I will be off for 2 weeks. So we'll have one together next week, and then I'm off for 2 weeks.
Okay, I'm off that week as well. So
there you go.
Who knows?
Az
the questions.
and a special friend.
Someone. Excellent. Thanks so much for joining me, Sam. Thanks for answering all those questions so well, and good luck with your decisions at Gameweek24, and good luck with Alfie Doughty.
Woohoo! Come on, Alfie. We need
love
some
him
more
as much
points.
as I do.
Oh, I'm hopeful.
Take care.
Bye, guys.
See you soon.